the problem with us usually when we're minorities or on a lower income bracket is we think we want to get 100% of something. If I can get 20% of $5 million versus 100% of $500,000, I'm much rather get 20% of it. I don't need the ego and the ownership. So there are people right now that could be buying condos, that are buying apartment and buildings that have multiple units in it, where you could put your $20,000 in it, in that unit, and you have your percentage, obviously, of the share of whatever the transaction or profit is, and they're gonna pay you, versus you trying to go put that same money towards buying a single unit, because now you have to invest like time into managing it and doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you can ask the question again.
Oh yeah, my question again comes up. What financial advice did your parents give you that you later on found out in life that this is bullshit and I'm gonna go first, right? Personally, to come to think of it, my parents never gave me financial advice. I just
Maybe indirectly.
I was thinking,
No, my mother or my father figure never ever told me to save money. They told me to make money, but never save it.
How about like choosing your career path? Because I feel like that's how most African parents do it.
That's financial advice on a different level.
Personally, do you know how many qualifications I have that I don't use? I'm a chef by profession.
Wow.
Yes, I'm a bartender by
Mohammed, she's
profession.
a chef. She never cooked for us.
Right.
Never.
We're still waiting for that food,
You
man.
need to put a poll.
You know why? Because on Eid, you never...
You still remember that?
I'm kidding. No, for real. I'm a professional chef. I went to culinary school. I'm a professional bartender. I studied tourism management. I don't use it. I now I worked with kids for a very long time. Like, just look, you go from Asia to Africa, from Africa to there's no, path. So clearly, my parents gave me no advice when it comes to shit like that. So let me sit this one out. You guys are up.
No, I feel like for me though, like they definitely did influence when it comes to education wise.
Yeah.
But also like they did talked about a lot about saving money, doing investment and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because it's just something they'll be like, you know what, you should don't spend your money out a lot.
Yeah.
Like there's no need for you to be buying new shoes all the time.
Yeah.
They've told me that plenty of times. There's no like you've been eating out lately a lot. Like
But think about the
Yeah.
shoes thing, right? If your brand is if your shoes and everything is your brand and it's part of your business,
You gotta do
then
it.
that advice is obsolete. I think sometimes the advice is not really such much like it's bad or good. It's more like the timing of it. If you
Right.
told me a couple of years ago, get a good job, get it, and then get the benefits, that was good 20 years ago. But when YouTube came out and you see a kid who takes a camera
Exactly.
and makes millions of dollars on the TV, that advice doesn't hold anymore. I think it was the timing.
That's true.
A lot of advice was obsolete, and sometimes because the world evolved and they don't evolve, it's like, oh,
right.
that doesn't hold.
Because then like them telling me I be buying a lot of stuff. So to me, I was like, oh, I'm not like a hype beast type person. So that's cool with me.
Yeah, what you gonna
You know?
afford?
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, that's cool with me. But like, if it's someone like one of our friend, that's like his brand. It's like a high business person. Like he buys shoes. You can't tell him
You
not
can't
to buy
tell
shoes.
him that.
Right.
Because that makes him money.
Right.
It's his brand.
But it's just little advice like that. But they never told me, oh, you should do internet stuff. You should do like.
Yeah.
They never said all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
Do you guys think our parents are like, because when I started do like financial education, right? I started reading financial education books. I started looking into stocks. I started thinking about financial freedom while my parents were like, get a good job and whatever. I started all of that, right? And then they would be like, I feel like you're wasting your time, or they wouldn't say it in those words, but the vibe that they're giving. Do you think that our parents are thinking small when it comes to things like that, or they just want us to be comfortable or set?
both.
I think they're coming from like a safe space for the most part, and I think it has to do with like past generation as well, right? Like there's somebody that have to like break that chain.
That chain, yep.
Because once it becomes like normal to like generation, like my kids just gonna pick that up automatically.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, the fact that like you are like tapping into like all the resources, right? You pretty much put yourself in a better space to change that around for your family, and that's what like something like a whole lot of our families are lacking, because I mean they're still living. They grow for the most part of their life in third world countries.
Yeah.
And some of them that moved over here, they've already have like responsibilities.
Yeah. So
And
you don't have
it
time.
just made it so much difficult for them to like go back to school. Can you imagine like being coming from Africa, right? Like in your late 20s,
Yeah.
and you have family over there, and you came over here, then you want to
gotta
go back
make
to
money.
school, like learn.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. You pretty much just have to like start like taking any kind of job that is in your fingertip like automatically, and just help them back home, right? So I feel like that's just the boundary. The only thing is like us that have the opportunity like to be here and watch our parents like go through there. We supposed to be the ones like have to like try to change it around.
Yeah.
We don't have kids anymore.
Yeah.
Right
don't
now,
have kids
right
anymore.
Now, right now. We don't have, we don't have, we don't have kids right now, so we're in a better situation to have that table flip around.
Yeah.
So
Something
generation gone.
something you said, Safwan, the fact that we have that someone in the late 20s come to America, gets a job, have to send money back home. Do you guys think, since we're all Africans sitting here, do you guys think the culture of us sending money back home is going to pull us more back
it
in
is.
life?
It is.
Yeah.
Because
It is.
we need to stop. It's not like we don't want to help people at home. We've got our own shit to deal with.
I also
you
think
want to
for
look at the
example-
camera while you say that?
We've got our own shit to deal with.
Yeah.
Stop asking us for money.
Yeah.
We understand that you're going through a lot and whatever. But even us, we are going through a lot.
we gotta change things around.
Bro, that's
But-
going to pull us back in life, because now we're not going forward because we have to keep sending money home.
Exactly.
Or Safwan, my child needs milk. Or
Yeah.
bitch, what were you thinking when you were making a child?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna touch on is sometimes too is it's not even just in America, even here with some of the friends and some people. I think to one point there's a part where you have to understand between helping and enabling someone.
Right.
So when if you're helping, it's like, okay, cool. I know you have this issue. Why do you keep getting in patterns that make you have this issue? How do we solve that issue? Okay, cool. Next time, do you need a business? Think about a business idea. Let's drop some money on it so you don't think about asking me about something. else,
Exactly.
right? We have to find the pattern of the issue. Like a lot of time when people say stuff, it's like, I want to know the root of that issue before
Right.
we can solve it. Because I don't want to enable you. There are people who have told me, oh, you're mean and you don't want to do it. I'm like, I will enable if I keep doing that because I'm giving you an out. I didn't have an
Exactly. You're
out.
not helping them at all.
In a situation where if I know that I have no out and I have to make this work, you get creative. I mean, you're going to read, you're going to go talk to people that are doing well. You're going to find a way instead of
Make
just saying,
cookies and
thinking
salad.
everybody's going to help you.
Right.
That's the
And
thing.
you know what I've learned as well? It's like the longer you hold back, even if it's a tough situation, you kind of find out like people usually find ways to like
Yeah.
help themselves
They do.
out. You know? Because I've been in that. I'm currently like we've all in that. We all of us are in that situation, right? Where like we just have like family members like asking us for stuff every single time, and it's not like I'm not trying to help, but I don't want it to become like a pattern,
crutch.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like me, you have to like depend on me, and we have some of our family members. They feel like it's our responsibility now to like.
Yeah.
Yes,
Entitlement.
yes,
That's the
yes,
entitlement. That's the
yes.
part I don't like. The
You made
entitlement.
it out. You made it out.
the
Now you have to
entitlement.
look after everyone, and then you'll get
That's
these
crazy.
aunties saying, "I changed your diapers when you were young." Bitch, you tell my mother that. Where was my mother? Why were you changing my diapers? Why? I didn't ask you to change my diaper. I couldn't
that's
even
the thing.
fucking talk.
But
How's my mother?
That's
Leave me
them.
alone.
That's entitlement, right?
Yes.
But the thing is that's also go back to motive. If your intention were to do it, to throw it on my face, I'd much rather you don't do it.
Right.
Please.
That's why I think I have a bad problem asking for help in certain situations. I'm going to find a way. If I need to go read a book, if I need to travel extra 30 minutes to find something, and it's going to avoid somebody stressing me about something, I'm going to try to do it. Because the price of my peace costs me more
Right.
to have to deal with that issue. Then, like, if your motive was to throw in my face that you did it, please don't do it.
Please don't do it.
Don't do
Yeah, I have this auntie, right? And I know she's not gonna watch this, but I have this.
You might get shocked.
Nah, she won't.
She won't
I have
say in
this
her face,
auntie,
guys.
Right, I have this auntie. No, I would definitely say it in her face.
Okay.
You don't fucking know
okay.
me. I am brutal as fuck.
Okay.
So I have this auntie. So she was my granny needed help financially, right? To put my other auntie through school, medical school, right? So my granny automatically was like, listen, you in a good position right now. Can you please help me out and I will pay you back with interest even. You know, I'll pay you back with interest. It's like
That's
a proper
haram.
loan. It's haram.
I've issue with that. Like,
Interest rate.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So they had this agreement, right? And this auntie of mine borrowed my granny this amount of money. My granny paid her back, right? So now we even. You helped me and I paid you back. I paid you back to the rum full. I don't owe you 1 cent. Say 5 years later, this auntie, when my granny asked money from her, she was rolling in
She was
cash.
balling.
She was balling, but she made a lot of bad financial
choices,
decisions. She made a lot of bad financial decisions. And the first bad financial decision she made was she sold all her assets. She sold her house. She sold her house. That was the first fuck
But isn't it
up.
asset?
What did she
Well,
do?
I mean, it's a need though.
Well,
right
I
now.
mean,
I mean, it depends. Back home?
Yeah, no, back home.
Yeah.
Yeah, this, I don't
Yeah,
have
okay.
family here.
That's at home.
Only like one cousin. But she made that decision to sell her house. The moment she sold her house,
She went down.
she went down. She lost everything. She lost everything. Like she's homeless right now. She doesn't have a house. She doesn't have a job. She doesn't have an income. She has nothing. So now you know what she does? She calls my auntie, the one that is working at the hospital. Please help me out with 200. And before you answer me, remember, I was the one
who loaned
that gave your mother money to put you
Yeah.
through school, as if my granny never paid her back. Bitch.
Yeah, no. Yeah, there's different way you can ask.
No, that's toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's toxic.
That's
so I
coming
feel
from
like
like
the
a-
moment we open the door by
Yeah.
financially providing for our family back in Africa, we need to sit down and be like, you know what, Muhammad is actually toxic. If I give Muhammad $100 today, next week, he'll be back
Yeah.
telling me, remember, I walked with you to school when you were in second grade.
But that's the boundaries. If I set the boundaries that you shouldn't come to me with that kind of entitlement, so you're not going to come to me. Like I'm making the boundary like, hey, don't do this to me. If you think you're gonna come this way,
Right.
I'm done. I'm erasing you. You can say whatever you want because you are not affecting anything in my life. So I put the boundaries. Like I had somebody that was related to me that did that. Like, oh, I was like, bro, there's better ways to ask for this. This is the last time I'm ever going to help you because
Right.
I'm enabling you. I was done after that because that's my boundaries, bro. You came from that way. No, I'm going to put boundaries. I think it's boundaries issue too.
You know, and speaking of, you know, that, like I want to, if you could introduce yourself, like, you know, what you do.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
all that
yeah.
stuff,
We
you
didn't
know.
even do that.
Yeah, my name is Chris Warren, Determined Vision on Instagram, guys.
He's in the
Make,
building.
make sure you follow, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
guys.
definitely.
He
And-
doesn't need any more followers.
but
You can never get tired of followers.
Yeah.
Followers is money now.
But
Yeah.
it is right. It's potential money actually.
It
until you
is.
turn it out
If you're
right.
not a seller,
So
yeah.
I've been in business now for almost 4 years, and then I was going to school to become a neurosurgeon. So I went to school because I was talking to my uncle. My uncle was like, "There's money in becoming a surgeon. You're good in math and science." So I started doing that. But right before going to med school or ending that path, I saw somebody who was doing business. But the thing is, I went to shadow the person where, like, literally for the first 2-3 years in business, I made nothing. Well, like, we made money, but it's relative. But, like, I literally was just studying the pattern, how the thought process is, right? But the thing is, I learned more about myself in that process, reading books, learning about boundaries, reading how to lead women, understanding how to talk people's love language and how to help them actually tap into the gift, like all these different things about, and then learn about finances, okay, stocks, all these different situations. And just, I think the biggest part was learning about the 4 agreement, which is number 1, don't make, be impeccable with your word. 2, don't take things personal. Don't make assumption, and then do your personal best. These 2 in the middle, like, saved my relationship with my parents, with everybody, because I used to make
Can you
assumptions.
say it again?
Don't take
The 2 important ones?
Don't make assumption, and also don't take anything personal, because taking anything personal is like, think about it. Like, before somebody, like, if you haven't told someone how you feel about certain things, don't have the expectation that they should know about it. So I like used to have an expectation that, oh, why does my dad say this or do this? Where it's like, okay, Dad, why do you do that? I want to understand, right? He did it from a place of love. I saw it as hate. But then again, when we had the conversation, I was like, oh, that makes sense, because I see now why I'm more respectful around certain people. You were tough on me. There probably could have been a better way, but we had the conversation about it. And then I didn't take anything personal now, where someone would, like, for example, when my Instagram started going up, people would, like, spew hate about certain things. I would just ask them, why do you feel that way? Because some people, you have to be, you have to be miserable to take time out of your day to go spray hate to somebody.
There's a lot of people like that online.
I have energy. Like, bro, honestly, I'd much rather do something else with that. So, like, I wouldn't take anything personal. It's like, this person really is sad to take time out of the day to come and spew hate. Or this person really feels in a bad place to maybe see somebody else and not want them to progress and having to report something or do something. It's like, bro, you really have to be in a bad place. So, like, I don't take anything personal anymore. It's like, it's not me. It's probably you.
Right. Definitely.
It's not me. It's probably you. So it's like, that's the biggest thing there. So, like, I learned about business and also insurance and finances in time. But it was literally just like, it's a mindset. It's not really just about, like, everything is really just a mindset where it's like, rich people have the opportunity. They understand higher leverage opportunity. For example, if you have a business that you want to do, right, and your business is having like a stores with candies and everything, that business, how do you scale it? A wealthy person family, they would teach their kids that business, the scalability of that business is a little bit difficult. Why don't you get in a business where you can scale more? Maybe like a franchise that you can scale more. You're still in business, but scalability. It's those little mindset shift where the more you're around that kind of people, you just realize that they just have access to information that you don't. And then us, we just gotta invest into, like, going either to meet them, network with them, have conversation with them. Hey, how can I help you? How can I provide value to you? I don't want to take anything from you. How can I help you? How can I provide value to you? Like, hey, can I sit in and listen to you on a call? I think that's how I ended up finding the guy who's like the #1 DMV advisor, like financial advisor in the DMV. Like, I was like, hey, how can I help you? Like, I just want to help you. And I was sitting in his office and then see him, like, talk to client. On the STEM process, I learned about Medicare, Social Security, retiring, maximizing your Social Security benefit before age 70, all that kind of stuff just by being there. But it wasn't just too much the information. It was his whole process about, okay, cool. When he has an issue, he would deal with the issue this way. He has a chart. There's a chart with everybody, right? That's something I learned from my mentors. There are things that are important, not important. There are things that are urgent and non-urgent. If something is urgent and important, you do it right now. If something is urgent but it's not important, right, you can delegate that to someone else. If something is important but it's not urgent, you can schedule it for later, right? Like, for example, dropping your clothes to the dry cleaning or doing laundry. You can schedule that. And if something is not urgent and not important, you can actually erase it out of your day. Once I started looking at life that way, man, my relationship with time was different.
Right.
Because I didn't feel like I needed the burden of handling everything at once. Okay, I don't need to deal with this right now. Can we have this conversation later? I don't need to address this right now. I'm doing something that actually helps me. Or if I needed to, like, if I know I make money by talking to client, that's what I need to focus my time on, right? Versus focusing maybe the time on posting content, which is important, but I can schedule that.
Right.
So when you, like, learn those things, like,
you can schedule the content on the weekend when you off.
Yeah, exactly. It's
So-
the same thing with everything else.
So throughout that process, like, what were some of the, like, difficult situations that you found yourself in? Like, like, give us some example of those.
All right. So, like, when you leave neurosurgery, and your parents and you're I'm the first and the oldest of 6, right? So at 7, I have 6 sisters.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you expected. Imagine an African man. You're gonna be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, and you don't do it, and you want to do business.
They were like,
And you
my
are not making
son.
money before, right? And it's like at the beginning, it's like it is tough because it's that mental battle. It's like they don't understand what you're doing, so it's like, man, you're wasting your time, or you're busy all the time. Where's the money coming from it? But that is gonna pay you dividend down the road. They didn't understand what you were doing because they're doing it out of concern, but.
Space.
Yeah, they're doing that out of concern, but the thing is that you have to find mentors in different areas of life. If if you're in a relationship, if you have an issue with someone, go talk to couples that have been in a relationship for years. Don't talk to your single friend. It's the same thing. If you're somebody who, like, for example, my parent, when it comes to values and principle, I look towards them like, okay, cool. How do you value someone? How do you respect someone? When it comes to money, I'm not gonna listen to you, Dad. I'm gonna go to a mentor that's good in business in other part of I would take that part from him. So it's having mentors in those areas. So at the beginning, the struggle was like dealing with, okay, cool, I don't have the approval of that or those people in my whole life that are family, right? But I still wanna make this work. I still gotta grind. And then it's obviously, as you're learning in business, you're reinvesting everything in there. So you don't have extra money for certain things, maybe like time for a relationship, for like just like friendship or things that will bring value to you. You're busy because you're learning, right? That's kind of how it was. I think it was literally, it took me a process. The beginning was learning more about myself in that process of starting out than anything. Because it wasn't like everything else, somebody who could label it as difficulty. I was just struggling with finding my self-identity.
And it's hard, hey?
Yeah.
Growing up and not knowing yourself or learning yourself, it's hard because it comes with accountability.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Accountability.
That's a scary word.
No, listen,
Yeah.
please. The other day I had a little bit of a misunderstanding with someone, right? And they showed me like where they didn't like what I did or what I said, right? And then I apologized. And the reply was, why are you apologizing? Because if I didn't mention this, you were not going to apologize.
Yeah.
So why are you actually apologizing? And I was like, I don't fucking know. I said I was sorry. Let's move on.
But the thing is that too, the person also has to realize you were a woman enough to own up to your mistake.
Exactly, yeah.
And then thank you for telling me so that next time I don't do that. It doesn't come up again. You know?
We're human, guys.
We're human.
Yeah, but I think you can look at it from like a different point of view as well. I don't know if what I'm about to say is what like he actually meant, but you know sometimes it said like try to like come from like a space where like either you're targeting solutions or like you making action, or not just focusing like the past already. Like I think that's where he was probably trying to get you. Like he has brought it up to you, you've acknowledged it, like move on. Like next time, just don't do it.
Yeah, that's it.
Maybe that's what he was.
No, I get him. But like,
And,
remember, we are all. I'm not saying no, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But remember, guys, when dealing with people, whether it's in business, whether it's family, whether it's just friends, we are all also just learning ourselves. We all don't know, you know? So, yeah.
I got a question. Do you feel like you learn faster, you learn more about yourself the more difficulties you have?
Yes.
Because that's the only time you have self-awareness. Because if you don't have an issue with, like the more you learn about that you have an issue with patience is when you have to be patient.
Right.
The moment you learn that, hey, my temper is not well, is when someone did something for your temper.
Try to test your temper.
Right? So I think it's like, so my question to you guys, I think I saw you guys other episode talking about trauma and something that happened is, do you feel like you learn more about yourself because you went through certain trials in your life?
I think 100%.
That most people, maybe if they didn't go through it, they don't even understand that whole. I actually have an issue in this area.
Experience is like the best teacher, man.
Yes, it is.
You can. I mean, it's like at some point, like we all pretty new to like certain situation, right? I mean, there's something like somebody wants something, right? Like I can tell you something that happened. Let's say I've seen like somebody like starve to death in front of me back home, right? I can say it to you. You may maybe like sympathize with it, like feel sorry. But the way I feel about that, you're probably not gonna feel that same way until you see somebody go through that same situation in front of you.
It's for real. this week was difficult for me, right?
Yeah.
And I realized that my mother never raised me and my sister the same. She never raised me and my sister the same. And when I was back in South Africa, I used to tell my mother, "You're not raising this child the way you raised me. And a few years from now, you're going down." and, and now she's going down. And I had to remind her, "Do you remember what I told you?"
Why would you do that?
No, because listen, right? I'm getting somewhere with this. I'm not just talking shit. Because, right, I had to. I'm now where I am, right? Because of the way my mother raised me. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, right? But I've got some values and morals, and I got this head on my shoulder. I think differently. For my sister, they did everything for her.
Yeah.
She got away with everything. So now she's growing up.
Entitled.
Now she's at a position where she realizes nothing is going to be given to me all the time. So now she's freaking out. Now she's acting out. Now my mother doesn't know how to handle it.
And her pattern might be finding someone who is going to give her all those things, but that can come at a price.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now, they say you should bend the tree, the branch while it's still young. Because when it's tree, the bark is big, you can't bend that bark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So you
that's
must
good.
bend the bark while it's still young, because while you bend the branch before it turns into a big bark.
Yeah. That's a
So-
South African proverb.
I came across like a video, right, where like the guy like spoke about something similar to that. So it was a rich guy, he got money, got good job, and the kid, like the way he was raising the kid, and I think the guy has got like 19, 20. He wanted the guy to like stop working, right? His child, his son. But the way he was like getting them jobs, he was just pretty much like connecting them, like reaching out to all the executives, right? He was like, put my son in, right? And made it like very easy for him.
Yeah.
And but he wouldn't learn. And
Yeah.
he was seeing that if he kept doing that, it's gonna be very it's not gonna be bright for the son, like if he's not around anymore.
Yeah.
So what he started doing, he would still do the same thing for the son, right? Like he would connect him with somebody else. All right, go get a job there. But he would have an agreement with like the manager, tell them, I want you like have him work as hard as he can for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And just fire him for no reason. Just
Let him
fire
learn.
him
Yeah.
and let him go through that stress, right?
Yeah.
And after he got fired, the dad would find him another job again. He would like work harder than he worked previously. Then he got fired again. So he went through that like couple times. But the last manager, he was like, man. No, he actually asked the last manager, like, why does this keep happening to me? Like, why do I get fired? I don't even know. Like, I feel like I've worked hard. I've done everything right. Then he was like, that's the agreement that I had with your dad.
Oh, shit.
He was like, yeah, you were just supposed to work for like this much. And I fired you. He was like, though, like, you're a good worker. Like, you've actually exceeded expectations. But it was just a deal. So the young man went back home, pissed at his dad. He was like, why would you do that? You know? And stopped talking to his dad. And he got married, got his own family. Like, he wasn't talking to his dad for like a couple years.
I like that.
He was still bitter on it. And the wife was like, honey, like, how about if you look at this at a different
From a
point of view, right?
perspective. Love it.
What if your dad was just doing this to prepare you for like you to get to the point where you're at now? Because at that point he's an executive himself now.
Wow.
Yeah, he got his own family.
Yeah.
He got like he's successful now. Then that's when like he came to his realization. He was like, man, that might be true. Let me go back, ask my dad, and see where he was coming from.
Make an assumption.
Went back to his dad. He asked him. He was like, is that true? His dad was like, yeah. I had figured out that the way I was raising you was like pretty bad. And I had to do something to change that because you were getting to the point where like, even if I say it to you, you may not just listen to me. But like if I put you through that situation, even if it meant for me like risking my relationship with you, I'd rather take that choice than have you like just go through life miserable, like messed up with the way I've started raising you.
Good.
It was very touching, man. I was like,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
It is powerful, but if you're gonna do something like that, you have to make sure that you try to not be toxic.
It's just tough situations,
but
man.
do you have
we
to
have to be able
define
to handle
toxic though? You have to define toxic.
Right.
What is the definition
No,
of
but
toxic?
because for
What
real.
is the definition of toxic?
I feel like not having a good intention, pretty
Yeah,
much.
like there is an intent behind it. To
Right.
me, it's like I don't think it's toxic because my dad was tough on us to the point where he would make us write down. Like my dad made me study the French dictionary and made us write words
different.
and exceptions, right?
Wow.
And then he would sit down once every week to just listen to me talk about the exception of the language.
Did you
But
ever
at
ask
the-
him why?
But the thing is, at the time, I was mad because my dad was so tough on me and so tough on us. But when I grew up to be an adult, I'm like, Dad, thank you. Because when I read that book, it talks about don't make anything personal and make assumptions. I went and I had a conversation. I was preparing you guys to have values and know the work ethic because he did that to my uncle. All of them, he did that to my uncle. My uncle speaks 4 languages, doing business all across Equatorial Guinea. Like he was preparing us. Right, I don't know. Do you guys know Coach Prime, Deion Sanders?
Yeah, I
like
know
he's a
Deion.
coach, right, of Jackson State, and he was talking about yesterday. He gave an example of a cat and a dog. He said a cat usually, right, has to like has everything done, litters, all that kind of stuff. I mean, the cat is poor, but a dog has to like fight for everything, gets everything. But guess what? When it comes to danger, who's stronger? The dog is stronger because he's had to do that all the time. So if you come from it from a perspective that is toxic versus what it's actually doing to me, I'm like, that was the best thing you could have done because I was mad for some times because I'm like, why are you tough on me? Why am I not doing this like other kids? But you prepare me where it's like when I'm outside, I see certain patterns, certain things. I'm like, man, like how do you let yourself get that far because your personal standards are lower, you know?
I think it's just like getting to like while we're growing, right? We get to like learn so much about the past. I don't know. There's this one time mentioned this as well. The Jamaican guy, what he was telling me, he was like, man,
Your
like
bestie.
right now, I would talk to him for like months or probably a year. He was like, you see some of the things I'm telling you right now, or your parents are telling you, you may feel like, oh man, it's just old mindset, different time. So, but like once you get to the point where like you have your own child,
Kid, yep.
and you start finding yourself doing the same thing that I'm doing to you right now, and they're not listening to you, that's
You
when you're
learn.
gonna realize, like, man,
Yeah.
I was exactly the same with my parents.
Yeah. My dad kept telling me that one day you guys are gonna realize what I was doing for you. He kept telling us when we were young. And yeah.
I get it, but I just feel like sometimes certain things can just be done differently. But I do get it. I get the point.
At what price
But
though?
I
At
mean,
what cost?
It's-
That's their own way.
Yeah,
That's
know
all
what
they
I'm saying?
understand.
I don't want to be
think
like
what
that.
you shouldn't like ignore, right?
But
It's
don't
the intent.
overcorrect. Yeah.
It's the intent. Like they may say like differently, or they may approach it like in a different way as well. But try to figure what their intent is.
The intent was.
If the intent is always good,
Yeah.
you can learn from the intent
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
what the principles are trying to put into you.
Yeah.
Guys, you guys don't know how it is to be a female in an.
Look, you're using female as well.
Yeah. So
Oh, you
are
being
we talking
sarcastic?
about-
Yeah, I'm being sarcastic.
Okay.
That's why I winked my eye at him. To be a woman or the
We got a big issue with that as
eldest
well.
girl
A woman
in an
versus
African household. I know you guys go through your own thing, right? But then girls go through something so brutal
Like what?
that it haunts you.
Like what? Give
Go
us an
ahead.
example. What's something that women? Because I think that you can still use it.
Yeah,
Yes,
you can use
no,
that
you can use
towards your
it.
advantage.
The thing is, right? The thing is, they meant well.
Yeah,
they
they did.
meant well, but it was the process
Yeah.
that was not cute.
What the price is,
Ah.
like if they have to do the process that way, but it still gets the point across.
Right.
I think to me personally, it's still they still
hit
do
their
their job.
goal.
They did their job
Yeah.
to raise us, right? But the thing is, we shouldn't overcorrect. I used to be like, oh, because they did this, I need to overcorrect. It's like some of the things were good, which is like, hey, teach them about the reward system of valuing, working hard. We don't get participation trophy. It's like you either doing well, it's like no, don't get. But those are the things like okay, cool, but temper it with love or certain things. You don't have to overcorrect it and say because my parent did that, I'm gonna do the total opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's like don't overcorrect, but like
Wait.
use it.
Because there's a very thin line as well, right? Where like from like knowing like what you need to know, and like crossing the line where like you just completely wrong, you know,
Doing too much.
doing too much, exactly. And I feel like that's what some of our parents have to deal with, right? Like even some of our previous guests, right? They, some of them have said like we just in a different time where like we see things differently. That is true, but at the same time, you have to understand as well like people before us like have history. They've been through certain situations that we haven't been yet. We're just learning about those stuff. But we haven't like what you're saying, right? You don't have a child right now, so you don't know like exactly what it feels like having a child like, and trying to like advise him, right? But you don't know. Your parents, they have you, and they probably have had that experience. They've seen other people with kids as well that have the experience. They've had those conversations.
I like that, bro.
They may be coming from like a tough point of view because one, they probably like learned about you that Mickey probably learned best by being through hardship,
Beating
right?
us.
They've seen you
Beating
while
us.
you was young.
Yeah.
You know, they grew you up to that
they've
point.
raised me, yeah.
So they may just be doing that just because they know even though like it's probably gonna crush them, but that may be the most effective way for them to actually pick that up,
So
them to
toxic,
learn.
right.
I know it's very tough to like draw that line because sometimes like I mean it could go like either way, right? But most of the time like that's why I say like look more into the intent.
Yeah.
Like the intent is like you
Come on,
shouldn't
yeah.
ignore the intent. You know?
I love
I
that.
asked you guys this question before. I asked you guys this question before. The question was, I asked you this, remember, would you raise your children the same way that you were raised? So now I'm going to you. Would you raise your son the same way that you were raised in terms of the toughness and how your father did certain things? You got the message, I get that, and that is that's the cute part about it all. You got the message, you're a great man today, blah, 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 blah. But,
Yeah.
would you do that to your son or
Yeah.
your daughter?
But that, like, to answer that question, I have to take him from a perspective where it's like, just because someone was tough, I'm not gonna overcorrect
Right.
it. I'm gonna use some of the same principle, but I'm not gonna overcorrect it because you're supposed to do it easier for the next
Right.
person. But
Yes.
it depends on what context. Whereas
Person
they're not
modify
gonna, yeah, I'm gonna modify it a little bit and tweak it to be more efficient. Right? That's the gift that we have. I think that's the gift that we have is if that was tougher, still value that. Hey, bro, if you're my son, you have to value hard work. You have to value waking up early. You have to value respecting people. You have to value all these things. But I'm still going to show you love where it's like, okay, cool. Let me tell you why. Right? Let me tell you why in a different sense. But I'm not just going to beat that into you. I will use different mechanism to talk about it where it's like, it could be like, okay, the currency in the house, if you want to play the PlayStation for an extra 1 hour, you have to read 10 pages of a book and let's
Right.
talk about it.
Reward yourself.
Yeah. But like, it will be a different, like, okay, cool. We can find a reward system now to still I can slightly do it, but not overcorrect the way I'm like, because my parents were tough, I'm going to be lenient on my kids.
Nah,
'Cause
you
I've
shouldn't.
seen people in the family being lenient on the kids because their parents were
They're
tough.
tough, yeah.
And then I'm looking at the kids, I'm like, you are soft. I'm sorry, but this is the truth.
No, I get that, but that's what I want. When the man that I'm gonna marry one day, inshallah,
Inshallah.
has to be very dominant. My husband has to be very dominant. Because when it comes to disciplining the kids and all that, count me the fuck out. I've been through two slap you, it's my caterpillar.
I don't play, man.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
usually don't
Hey,
talk too much.
Remember
bro.
when it
Yeah.
says in the Bible, or wherever you're reading, is like, if you don't correct your kids, you don't love them.
Right.
Yeah, but like I'm not saying that I won't correct my kids, but I don't want to be the bad cop, bruh. I don't want to be that person.
There's a way to correct. It
Being
doesn't have to sound like
disciplined,
sticks,
being
right?
disciplined, that don't mean you're a bad person.
Yeah.
You can be disciplined in various ways. For me,
Yeah.
like I said, right?
Wait for your father to come home.
You can't do that.
Hey, we all heard that song. That was traumatizing. You.
I will tell your
prepared for
father.
3 hours. I'll tell your father.
You're going to get your ass whooped in 3 hours.
Yeah, that will bring some anxiety in your body when
In
you're
3
like,
hours, you get some
I used to
nice
double
ass
close and
Bro.
stuff like that, man.
Wait, what were you saying,
My mom
Mohammed?
used to do that.
Sorry that
What was I saying?
You were saying, I don't know, but you were saying
No.
something.
I'm saying like, I don't know, like just like what you said, right? I'm definitely not gonna change it and make it easier. No, you know what I'm saying? But I'm still going to incorporate some of the stuff, what I've learned so far. Because one of them is what some of our African parents are not good at is that communication.
part. Yeah.
Right. So that's something that I feel like I'm going to incorporate, right?
Yeah, you too.
But I'm not going to let you slide up stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
whatever.
I'm not hitting you or I'm not, like,
Oh.
punishing you. Like, no.
African
It's
parents
also- it's
just
also
know
like,
to choose violence.
Yeah, it's also like
I'll tell
meeting
you,
us
I was
like
born into
that.
violence. Try me. That's what I'm going to tell my kid.
Yeah.
I don't
You
want
try
that.
me. That's,
Oh.
But anyways, one thing I feel like, to be honest, one thing that I'm grateful for, and that I feel like I've learned, even though it probably took me some time, but it's for me to be able to like know the difference between my wants versus my need. Because a lot of times our parents, when they tell you, oh, you don't, like, why are you always buying this stuff? Because they looking at it, that stuff isn't benefiting you.
Yeah.
Right? It's not making you money. It's just for you to wear.
So
and then-
want.
or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's something that I've learned. You know what I'm saying? And I've come to like an agreement where nowadays, like, it's basically my motive. Before I do anything, I make sure, okay, do I really need it? Because needing it is something that, that like,
Find love
Yeah,
without
like
it.
I don't live without it. Like water, you can't
mean-
go a couple of
and
don't-
I can make some workaround within my wants where if I get something that I want this week,
Yeah.
next week I'm not gonna get it. I'm gonna just skip it and get something else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think there's another way that you can look at that too, right? Because I mean, some people may just buy stuff that it may not be a need, but to them, like they have like a higher value for it.
See it as a need.
Yes, it makes them happy. That could be a need as well, even though like to you it may seem silly, right?
Yeah.
Like me, like
It's all
when
on
I-
your perspective.
Yeah.
But you have to also go
Me
back
with,
and ask them why
Yeah,
right.
why did you make yourself believe that as a need?
Yeah, because like what
That's
I try
a
to
good-
avoid, right? Like not like telling somebody how to use this stuff, how to use their whatever thing they choose to do. But if I would give somebody an advice, right, in like specific stuff that I may not possibly like see it as value to me, like, can you afford it? I think that's the best question people should be asking. If you can afford it,
Why? Yeah, why not?
why
It's
is
your
that my
money.
business?
Yeah.
It's your money.
Don't
Do
go
it.
in
Do
debt.
you think?
It comes back to like
get
some of
it.
our people back home, right? Especially when I was in high school, and I used to like the Jordans and all that. I got
What
like
did you do?
I used to
Like
love
Jordan
Jordan shoes.
Jordans. Oh, I think
Yeah.
you said love drugs. I was gonna be like, wait, what? I'm joking.
I've got I had people that used to be like, man, why do you have so many Jordans and stuff? Like, why do you need them? I was like, look, if I can afford it, that should be
genuine.
my problem, right? If I'm not stealing to go do it, why is it your problem? But if I know that like I can buy Jordans and I can eat comfortable, I don't have to like come to you like begging for stuff,
Yeah.
right? Then
That's good.
that's my own problem, right? But if I'm like buying Jordans, then I come to you to come feed me,
Yeah.
then
That's a
you
problem.
have the right to like ask
Yeah.
me that
Ask
question.
that question.
But
You know?
to counter what you just said,
I'm
right?
gonna add too.
To like, if you can afford it,
Yeah.
to me, it's like not saying if you let's say they just paid you, right? You got your check. Yeah, you can afford it, but you have to think about the other factors. That like if you have bills 1st, right?
Oh, yeah.
Are your bills pays for the few months?
Yeah.
Right. That's one. And two, you need to have. To me, I look at it. I need to have double
the
the amount.
Yeah,
before
and
I buy
that's
anything.
really what I mean by afford it.
Yeah,
because I mean
that's-
you have to like take care of like what needs to be taken care of first.
Yeah, and then
before like going to
you
that
can do
other
that.
stuff. And if you're not able to like feed yourself, but you're buying Jordans,
That's a
then
problem.
you need to like start.
Yes.
So
yourself.
needs is like, phone bill, all your bills. Those are needs.
Yeah, it's just
you need
levels.
you
It's-
need to do it.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're gonna be homeless.
Yeah, and I think where I might be coming from as well, right? Like, there's levels to money. Like me and you, we may have like money to like dress good like this, but we don't have like Bill Gates kind of money, right?
Yeah.
Bill Gates may afford to get like a hoodie like this
Yeah.
for like $50,000. I may look at him and like, man, you must be crazy. Like we're wearing like the same stuff. It's
Yeah.
the same material
Yeah.
and stuff like that, right? But to him, he can afford it.
It's
He
nothing,
can
yeah.
afford. It's nothing to him. To me, I cannot do that. So that's what's
Yeah.
like. It depends like
Position.
how much can you afford.
Yeah.
And we live in a country where like everything is so easy for like people to afford. for like people to get but not afford. For example, right?
You get on credit.
Right.
On credit, exactly.
That's the problem.
Somebody may just have like good credit,
That's
go
bad
pick up
debt.
a Lamborghini, feeling
bad
like
debt.
yes, because my credit is good. Like I can afford. That don't mean you can afford it. You
Yeah.
just have a good credit where somebody can trust you. Like
Yeah.
he gonna keep up with payments, and
Yeah.
if he doesn't keep up with payments, I'm still gonna get my car.
Yeah.
Whatever payments he gave me already,
Yeah.
I'll still keep that, and his credit not gonna be bad.
There's a term.
And that's America.
Yeah.
America, like you can
And-
have whatever you wanna have, but
And
You know,
all
what-
all these like people that be doing it, they don't buy in cash, right? They actually use their like their credit card, whatever it is. That's how normally they do it.
Yeah.
But us thinking about it, they don't have that kind of opportunity. We just
Yeah.
they probably use cash.
Yeah.
But mostly they don't.
Mm-hmm.
They're just using the opportunity, marketing themselves.
Yeah.
And they use the car for a few months,
Yeah.
and they can take it back, exchange, and get another car.
Yeah, now the thing is that there's an opportunity cost, right? How much did that cost you to have to spend that money that way when you could have reinvested into something else? Because people don't factor that. I work in a finance world. Like, what did that cost you? Like, for example, if I spend $2,000 on something, what could that $2,000 have done to me in the meantime?
Yeah.
So people don't factor opportunity cost. Now, if you did get that, that's where good debt and bad debt comes into play. Like the good debt, like poor people use bad debt, and then rich people use debt as leverage. Where in a
Right.
sense where if you get money and you take now $300,000 in debt, as far as like you get a multi-unit, and that multi-unit is producing you income, that debt becomes good debt.
Right.
But if you did the same thing just to take that $300,000 to go buy a Lamborghini, and that is not making you money as far as you're not doing it as an exotic rental, you're not using it for rental and other purposes, that becomes bad debt. So it's like literally whatever you're using is what's what are you doing that for? Sometimes some people might spend it that way because it's a business tool. It makes
Right.
them money. If I'm gonna do something, it better make me money in some kind of way. That's how I think about it.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's like if I'm gonna I've had a realization of my opportunity cost by not wearing glasses and just squinting my eyes like that. I will have headaches sooner. And I have all that kind of stuff. So I was
Let me
like,
tell
I'm
you-
gonna invest into that opportunity cost.
Let me tell you this good example as well, right? And, it's just like choices I would make. Like it may be like the smallest choice, right? Like let's say I drive down to like Arlington, Virginia, right? I need to like go to like grab like a quick lunch, but they only have like parking meters. There's no free parking, right? I may try to like be pretty slick, like I'm only going there for like 2 minutes. Maybe they're not gonna like told me or give me a ticket, right? But me taking that risk, I'm putting myself in a situation where like if I did get told,
The cost.
it's gonna cost me $185.
And at a time.
Or if I just pay that $3 for even that 10 minutes that will be there, it's gonna save me one, the stress of like thinking about my car getting towed,
Yep.
and two, my car actually getting towed and
Yep.
have a rent and they like paying like 1,000% of like what I was supposed to pay
Yep.
initially.
It's
So
opportunity
it's just
cost.
like those two balances, like just weigh the consequences and weigh the price you have to pay now.
Yeah.
See which one outweighs each other.
Yeah.
And, make the best decision from there.
That's good.
So I've been thinking a lot about real estate, right?
Nice.
So a lot of
what
times.
are you playing? How many towers you trying to put up?
If you're gonna do it big.
A lot of times,
Exactly.
something that I've learned too is that you can, like, I learned this probably maybe like a year during the pandemic or so, that once you invest in one house, right, or whatever it is, right, or townhouse or apartment, and then let's say a house, right, and then you refinance it after maybe 5 years, that amount, the price of the house will go up, right?
Yeah, you get
Once
the
you
equity.
check, you get that equity, right? You can take that money, and then you start fresh from that house. Let's say if you start back 30 years, right?
Yeah.
But take that money, go buy another house.
Yeah.
So now you have two houses.
Yeah.
And then that house after 5 years, refinance it again, and refinance that. Well, I think you can only do it once, right?
But the thing
I don't
is,
really know.
It's good debt that you're getting that way. But the thing is, a mentor told me that it takes you the same energy to do something big and small. Might as well do it big. Think about the energy it takes you to have to wait that long, right? Why don't you take that same money and capital, go on a multi-unit, or give it to someone who's investing in multi-unit and have a contract, and they will pay you the dividend, and you don't have that energy, right? So it's opportunity cost. Is if you're gonna do it big, because a single house, could be a risk where it makes you money and it's cash flowing while there's a tenant there, but when there's not a tenant, it becomes a liability where if you put that same, like some people don't even know the same money you would spend to get a house, you can get a condo with it or a multi-unit and put a couple of other people in there. Now, if one of your renter is not paying, it's not the liability that one house that you have is not making you asset. You have balance your risk. So like rich people hedge, they hedge your risk.
So you're saying instead of a house,
instead of just buying
have multiple.
Yeah, instead of buying a house, maybe buy a multi-unit or invest in people that are buying bigger deals, and then
invest
you can get
in
them.
them, invest with them.
I understand where you're coming from, right?
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you up, but like
go ahead,
it's just like what's the thing called? Example, right? Like Amazon. Initially, when they started, they just started with like books, right? How can we deliver books online? And it gets to the point where like they've made like so much money. Now they can afford to like stretch out their like arms like somewhere else. All right, people are buying so much books. How about like we start selling everything else? And once it gets to that point, they've mastered that field, right? Now they know they can stretch a bit more. Okay, let's start making like devices. Let's start selling like the Kindle devices themselves. And once it gets to that point, they start looking at something else. But you don't just like stretch out your arms like at once, right? And like put yourself in a situation where like you cannot lose, because if anything happens, you just gonna be drowned, right? And the example that you gave us when it comes to like good credit and bad credit. That's something. Yeah, that's something I learned when I was interning, right? Because I was like the team that I was interning on. What they do is like they like loan money to like big companies. Let's say for example, if Amazon trying to build like a warehouse in Virginia. Amazon do have the money to like
cash. They have it cash.
They have cash
Apple.
like build that building like boom. It may cost them 100 million. They have it, but they're not going to do it. Because one, they'll rather like lease that place, right? Like get a credit from like the bank, and have the bank like fund the building, and they will pay the bank like
interest
percentage every month with interest.
You know why they do it? You know why they do it? It's taxes too.
Yes.
Right, because if the interest, like Apple, like can have something where it's gonna cost, they have billions of dollars sitting in cash. If their interest is 0.03%, right, their interest and everything, they can write that off their taxes. Therefore, you might see, oh well, they're losing money because they're paying interest, but they're saving billions of dollars in taxes by not buying it cash. Because when you buy it cash, your money is done. When the cash is there, but you're leveraging that, you're paying the interest on it, you can write it off your taxes, and then you're using other people's money where if there's something, an opportunity, you still wrote it in cash. Like Grant Cardone was talking about it one time. It's like, hey, like don't hate the game, hate the player. Because if the IRS has it in a book where, okay, cool, I'm a billionaire, and my tax bill and everything that I have left is $60 million left, instead of going and paying that to the IRS, I'm going to get a business expense. I'm going to buy a private jet cash or put that money towards something else. Now my taxes are lower. So, like, people don't understand. It's like, okay, cool. That's where rich people understand using debt as leverage, and then poor people use it as to spend. So, consumer versus producer.
I got money in my credit card. Let me go waste it, blow it up.
That's what I do. Shit.
Ooh, that's scary. That is
So
scary.
speaking
You know
of
how
that,
much you gonna end up paying on
earlier you was talking about, let's say you gave the example about opening a candy, right?
Yeah.
So you saying basically instead of opening your own brand, instead you should already go to a company that's already well invested, and get a franchise from them because they already have a lot of customers. That's what you're saying, or
that's not entirely what I'm saying. Like that now, it depends on what it is. Because now the thing is, if you want to become wealthy, find a brand or somebody who's building up and help them building in the process. Right? You don't have to go work for the well organized and well known company. Now, when it comes to now doing, for example, real estate or even doing trucking or anything else, is if you're gonna do it big, where a sense where if somebody is already, because there are people who are buying money, like buildings and condo right now, where you can just put capital with them. The problem with us usually when we're minorities or on a lower income bracket is we think we want to get 100% of something. If I can get 20% of $1 million versus 100% of five, if I can get 20% of $5 million versus 100% of $500,000, I'm much rather get 20% of it. I don't need the ego and the ownership. So there are people right now that could be buying condos, that are buying apartment and buildings that have multiple units in it, where you could put your $20,000 in it, in that unit, and you have your percentage, obviously, of the share of whatever the transaction or profit is, and they're gonna pay you, versus you trying to go put that same money towards buying a single unit, because now you have to invest like time into managing it and doing all that kind of stuff.
I have
if you're gonna
Make
do
sure
it,
it's
do it big.
good and
I have another example. It's called what's this thing called? Compound effect.
Compound effect.
Yeah. If making like 1%, getting 1% better like every single day
Adds up.
it's much more better than getting like 20% better like once every year. And that is because like when you start multiply 1 times 1 times 1, and eventually it's just gonna like blow up,
Adds
right?
up.
And it's something as well that I learned from like the very first guy I started working with, right? Because he was into like the phone business, right? And all our competitors like around us, their prices was just so expensive, fixing phone and like selling phones, and his price was just super affordable, right? And there was this one time I was just very curious, like, why do you like do this, right? And like I was like, we could be making like a whole lot more money if you just increase our price, right? And he was like, what do you think? You don't think we'll make enough money? I was like, but look, the amount of people that we getting, right? If the money is a little bit up, I was coming from like a selfish point of view. And he was like, how do I look at this from this point of view, right?
Volume.
McDonald's have like a dollar meal, right? He was like, do you know how many people go to McDonald's? Do you know how much money they make off that dollar meal? They make more money off the dollar meal more than the most expensive burger. And that is because like if you can flip $1, if I can flip like a dollar burger, right? 100 of them in like every single minute, compared to like the $5 one,
Once in a while.
once every 20 minutes or every 30 minutes, definitely like the $1 one's
Compound
gonna make
effect.
more money
My
because
man.
I'm flipping like a whole lot of it.
Yep. You do
Constantly.
volume. Yeah,
You
volume.
pushing more volume than
Yep.
big amounts coming in.
Yeah,
That's great
absolutely.
advice.
That's good. Like we talk about volume, is a mentor of mine was talking about, whereas if you take something like this is an example of volume. You guys know when Warren Buffett acquired, they went on Coca-Cola. That when they acquired Coca-Cola, right, they just raised the price by 0.25 cents. Billions of dollars in profit. Because of what? Volume, right? Without changing anything, right? Sometimes some people think that they need to acquire new information. They don't. You just have to like, okay, cool. Let's look at how do I help. Like right now, people who are working at 9 to 5 think they need to start a business necessarily. Find a way to make more money with your current job. Is there something in your job that you can add value to make money in right now without changing it? Right? It's a small thing. It's like, okay, cool. Maybe I can do extra hours here. Maybe I can do extra this here to make more capital to be able to invest in somewhere. So whenever you have volume, is you can do it cheaper, technically. But if you're changing something, if you're gonna do it and charge more, maybe add a new feature to it. If you're not, but you're keeping it basic and you're doing it at a lower rate, because you have volume, you end up still netting profit.
All right. Vicky, why are you being selfish? We're trying to learn from you too.
I'm here. Listen.
Sorry, I'm just playing with you.
I'm learning, guys. I'm learning because I make, as much as I try to get as much financial education as possible, right? I personally make a lot of dumb decisions when it comes to finance, right? And like we were talking about emotional spenders. I'm not an emotional spender, but sometimes I feel like retail therapy, and I do definitely. And say I was like 2 years in America, and then I only realized, bitch, you don't even have a credit score, but you have the latest sneakers. Like, you don't have, if anything had to happen right now, you don't have anything to fall back on. And I realized that, and I was like, immediately, the moment I realized it, it's like, you have the resources, you have the education, you know what to do, but you're not doing it.
Yeah.
And then the very next day, I started building my credit score. I got like credit cards and whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm actually doing very good compared to a year ago. A year ago.
Come on now.
No.
Welcome
And
to
I'm proud of
progress.
myself when it comes to that part because
Yeah.
a year ago,
Great job.
when it came to my credit, I didn't have a credit score
Yeah.
at all. It was
Which
lower
is
than 500.
Kind of a good place to start from.
Yeah,
Because,
lower than
like,
500.
this is a good thing too. Is like thinking about credit is when you're new, you don't understand this.
You don't.
Sometimes there's something called low credit utilization, and you will see people say, "Oh, don't spend more than 30% of your card." Right? They understand low credit utilization wrong. You can, like, for example, I don't remember the last time I used my debit card for something. Here's why: I will use my credit card, right? I will pay my credit card balance 3 days before. My credit utilization will still shows low credit utilization.
Yeah.
All you have to do is, if you're gonna use
You
it,
gotta pay it on time.
pay before. Pay the
Before.
balance, not even the
Yeah.
interest, the balance of the credit card before,
Yeah.
and they will still report you having a low credit utilization.
Yeah, sure.
And guess what? The same dollar is making money for you twice because you're
Yeah.
getting the points or the cashback or
Exactly.
whatever your card is or the miles from it. So it's
Because
so it's not
you can.
Just pay the
You can make all.
balance.
You know, like every single month my credit card, I think I make like $20+ just off things that like I'm supposed to like buy them
Buy them
anyways.
anyway.
Yeah,
like groceries,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Why pay like your own cash with it, right? And if
You
I
can use
use
the
my
credit card.
my credit card to buy my gas,
Mhm.
buy my food that I'm eating, and at the end of the month I get credit back, or like somewhere like you got like, love traveling, right? They have like pretty good travel
they
points
drive.
as well.
American
There's
Express.
people that travel like a whole lot just based on
Use
point
the
that they get on.
points.
But
Yeah.
don't you gotta pay it off every,
Yeah, no, pay it
every
off. So
month?
I mean, you
this
can-
is how
you have to
you
pay
use
it
it.
off.
Of course, you gotta pay
Right.
off credit
So I
card.
was saying like this: you do this way to still have low credit utilization. If you spend $1,700 or $1,000 on your credit card, right? Because I don't remember last time I used my debit card. It's rare that I do it because if you do it, is if you start your card today, don't let the balance get there. It's like if you start using 1,000 and you pay everything on that card, pay the credit card 3 days before the
whole-
due date,
the whole
or maybe
balance
2,
will be
3
off.
days before. The whole balance will be off before they report it to the credit bureau.
Right.
So therefore, you will still have low credit utilization, and you will get the points for spending that money through your credit
So
card.
you mean pay everything off?
Everything
before
up, not
3
not the
days?
minimum
Yeah.
payment.
Not the minimum
Yeah.
payment.
Yeah.
Pay the balance of
whole
it
thing,
before they
yeah.
report it. And the credit score was like I did that the first time because I didn't know about it, but I invested into like calling someone who does it. I said, bro, I'm gonna pay you, but I need you to give me some pointers. He gave me that. My credit score went up by 60 points the
Yeah.
next month. I'm like, and I went in this. That was my first time I went in this high 700. I was like, this is crazy that people don't know this stuff, right? Because low credit utilization. This is another part too. If you have siblings or if you have your family or your kids in the future, there's a part where you can add an authorized user
Yeah.
to your card.
I've
Right?
seen
They
that
don't
one.
necessarily have to use it. When you add them as an authorized user, they get the history of credit.
History, yes.
That's called a credit line. So they get a history of credit where later down the road, when they're ready to use it, they get a higher balance on the credit where if they want to take that $10,000 down the road and go invest it into resources or school or something that helps them make money from it, they have it. So like that's one, like credit utilization, do it before, right? And then there's even cards where you can get you can do the inquiry. So if you're applying for a credit card, you can, like, for example, Apple credit card. If you apply for it, like they do the first analysis, and then you can go lock your credit in the credit bureau where if they're gonna pull it, you don't get hit with the inquiry on your credit report.
Yeah.
There's so much you can learn. The same
I did
thing with
not
credit.
know about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
same thing
more
with
you
credit.
like check your credit
Yeah.
score, it goes down. Your credit score.
Yeah,
actually
because
goes down.
it's a soft pull.
The more you check it.
Yeah.
But it depends on how you do it, though.
Oh, yeah.
If you have, for example, credit card with Capital One, they have something
They
called
have the
Credit
system
Wise,
that- yeah.
where you can check it without having it to hit it. Like American Express, when I check my credit with American Express, I don't get hit because I do it
They just-
through the
Yeah, I have
website.
that card too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't go exactly directed to the thing. It's through the service. I have
Through
a
the
free
service.
credit
Credit
with them.
bureau.
Yeah,
Yeah.
credit
You go
bureau.
through them.
Yeah,
They usually deduct
Yeah,
points.
Wait,
This
what?
is something.
Which credit cards are you guys using?
it depends on what you want.
depends, yeah.
card
It
for.
depends, yeah.
Like for example, for
It
me,
really depends.
I'm just saying, like, what do you use? In general?
I have a lot.
I have
I
the Capital One.
so I have American Express. That's for travel. I have the Platinum card where it gives you rewards for like traveling and everything. So I spend everything usually on that's for the business on that card. I just pay the balance before, and I get the travel miles and points for using it right now. For when it comes to the card, maybe that gives me like groceries. You might have to use
cashback,
a cashback
a point.
But the thing is that sometimes those cashback cards, that you lose money by doing a cashback. Sometimes is some card, if you use that, you can get card from different stores. Like for example, if you have a Capital One, instead of and the one that has the 12 the mile one, instead of redeeming that as a cashback, you can redeem that as a Nike store card or Amazon store card, and now it will be redeeming higher than if you did cash.
Oh.
It's literally like, bro, we studied. It's the same thing with taxes too. Like I used just invest into it where it's like, where if you make him as a business, if you work in 9 to 5, but you have a 1099 business or something that you do on the side like an LLC,
1099.
you can increase your exemption on your taxes maybe to 3, 4, 5, where at the end it's like, hey, you can start your apartment, for example. You see, think about this studio, right? If you have an LLC for this place, some of your expenses for this apartment can be reported as business expense, where you will save money on taxes this year. For example, if your business, your office, right, where you're sitting there is 1/4 for your apartment, the square feet of your apartment, everything you spend in this apartment can be reported 1/4 because it's a business. So your food, your gas, your electricity bill will be 1/4 of it. Where at the end of the year, because you have a 1099 LLC, you can tell your tax advisor, hey, I have a business and I also work at a 9 to 5. This is the business, like part of my stuff. That's why you have to invest in the right people. It's like you invest in a good advisor. Okay, cool. That was a business expense now because you use that space in your apartment, and you can save money on it where next year, instead of when you get a tax refund, I used to think that, when you get a tax refund, that's not actually good, because that means that you gave your IRS, you pay more money to the IRS, and they give you that money with no interest. It's opportunity cost. What could you have done with that extra money? If you had a business, like if
that money be feeling good though.
Like for me, if I
taxes,
it feels good, right? But because you're saving out of way, but if you used it,
that's true,
and invested that in the meantime, it could have been different, right?
Something.
So that's where you like if you work in business, for example, where it's like if you make money, just having an LLC, bro, or just a business or 1099 outside of your regular 9 to 5, this year, you can save an extra $10,000 in taxes.
Yeah, and it's the same thing that when I used to work with Jamal, right, the cell phone store. Yeah, he used to like pay me cash, and when it comes to cash payments, like you have to pay your taxes yourself, the 1099. So whenever I do that, whenever I file my taxes, right, at the end of the year, it ends up like I'm netting to like zero, because all the parts that we buy from the store, he just let me like put all of that on my taxes, and when I file my tax, it just like squares to like zero.
You made money, but you spend it all on the business.
Yeah.
Why do you have to pay taxes at that point?
Yeah, no difference.
It's a loss. It's called a loss, right? Or even like, when people say, oh, well, I'm in a 20% tax bracket. America is a progressive tax system. They don't tax you the whole amount that you made at 20% or 10%.
That's something I need to learn, man.
So, like for example,
tax stuff.
Like for example, the first $10,000, I think it's 10 or 12, or in that range, is taxed at 10%. Then the next portion is taxed at 15 or 20. So it's not like they charge you the whole thing. So that's why there's some people who literally like would spend money on certain things as a write-off, or maybe give up money on but like the appraisal. I saw it online. Let's just say a art piece. You spend money on it, the artist does it, and then now you own the places, the goodwill of this thing, and then you donate that could be a tax write-off. Or let's just say you have a business.
Yeah.
Right, you have a business on the side. You can actually make your card make you money in a sense where, if you are using your card for marketing, right, and you put your IG or your Instagram or your thing for your business, every time that card is going around the miles that it travel, because your business marketing for AfroVivid, for example, was exposed onto it, that's an expense for your business. So you can write that off as an expense for your business, right, and pay interest on that to your marketing, and then save that as a portion as a tax write-off too.
Yeah.
So it's like crazy, like you keep learning this stuff. It's the same thing with, like, there's so many industries, like if you're just not lazy to do the work of going and learning and studying it, you can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Just like,
I think it's just like being in a mindset where like you just hungry to like know more.
Right.
You just want to
And
learn,
apply.
Because the things are like information is always out there, right? But now it's up to like who really wants to like get it.
Who wants to learn?
Who wants to learn? And, that's always like something that me personally like I always look forward to, right? even like if something like I may just not be interested in, but I can listen at least, and you never know. You
Could
may
go
just pick
far.
up like one or two things. But yeah, man, this it's been a pretty great conversation.
It has been.
Thanks so much, man.
I had
Definitely,
fun,
man.
guys. I learned.
Yeah.
I think I've learned a lot, man.
Yeah,
Definitely
man, I'm telling
need
you,
to
man.
do my research.
We need to bring Chris on like every single week. Come enlighten us.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
I actually like you guys.
Actually, what do you mean actually? Listen.
I like
Can you imagine
people.
you said
No,
actually?
but the reason I say that is because let's be honest, you don't enjoy everybody that you meet. Or
Right.
Nah, that's true.
So that's why I say I actually like you guys, because I see you guys actually like out there genuine doing something, right? Versus like some people aren't genuine. Like you can see them as like, oh, you're not genuine, your intentions,
Oh,
not your
that's
heart
right.
beats, right? And like to me, I'm not gonna stay here and start lying to your face like, oh, I actually like that. No,
Right.
bro, no. I think that attitude is not good. You need to change that.
Yeah, this
I don't
is a
want to be
safe
around it.
space.
Yeah.
We're all just being ourselves.
Yeah.
That's it. Guys, I had so much fun, but I am so hungry and I must get an attitude.
I could
Let's
tell. I
wrap
could
this
tell her she
up.
was just done with it. But
See how she was sitting?
yeah,
ready.
she's like, yeah.
I was like this moment.
Couple more minutes, man. She gonna start throwing fish on your hand, Muhammad. Be careful.
Guys, I had so much fun, Chris.
Thanks for stopping by, man.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you guys inviting me on here.
Of course.
sure, man.
We gonna catch you guys on the next one. Hope you guys learned a lot. Dope.
Guys, I'm hungry.